Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of GeoPod. I'm your host, Dylan Woods, and today we're going to discuss the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. That's going to be the main topic of this video. There's a lot of things that I want to discuss. There's a lot of things I want to delve into and kind of give you my perspectives on and my opinions on, as well as to point out the persistent failings of the international community pertaining to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So the ceasefire has been in effect for, I believe, a couple of weeks now. The hostages have been returned to Israel. Of course, a lot of cause for celebration. And as of this moment in time, the ceasefire seems to last, at least for the short term. That being said, Hamas still exists. Not just that, they still govern and are still in, at least for the most part, in control of the Gaza Strip. Now, currently, Hamas has approximately between 15,000 and 20,000 fighters within its ranks. So this is post-war, post-ceasefire. The exact numbers are hard to be determined, and that is because of the very nature of Hamas, right? Yes, the death toll has been significantly larger. The amount of soldiers Israel, or like Hamas combatants Israel, has neutralized over the course of the war probably ranges about 30,000 plus. That's almost the entirety of Hamas's forces, at least the estimated number they had prior to Israel's invasion. Now, many people might ask, how then can it be that Hamas still boasts these numbers, between 15 and 20,000 combatants, estimately? There might even be more. Well, like I said, it's because of their nature. What Hamas does, both in times of war, but especially in times of war, but also in times of peace, is persistently recruit from within the civilian demographics of Gaza. Very similar to what Hezbollah does in southern Lebanon. So when war occurs, and then the effects of war start to strike the civilian populace, when food becomes sparse, where money and funds begin to dwindle, people will become desperate. And much like Hezbollah, Hamas then provides these financial incentives in order to bolster their ranks. Even before Israel's invasion in Gaza, Hamas stood out as perhaps the or one of the best paying employers within the Gaza Strip. So obviously when your funds begin to dwindle and when food becomes sparse and you need to provide for your family, a financial incentive can be as convincing as any other and may cause you to do very desperate things. And this has been a strategy of Hamas for decades. This is nothing new. And the fact that it's not being talked about more by commentators, analysts, or just within the geopolitical community in general is mind-blowing to me. And it brings me to another point that I will discuss later on in this video. So Hamas is persistently recruiting, meaning that, yes, they might lose 10,000, but they might gain 5,000 in that same time frame, right? Bolstering their ranks and being able to rejuvenate, being able to regenerate, something they have done time and time again after any armed conflict they waged with Israel. And this time will presumably be no different. Apart from their numbers, a good portion of their tunnel network is still operational, meaning they can use it to hide, to transport resources, weapon components, and God knows what more, in order to regenerate, recover, and prepare themselves for the next round of violence, something they have done, once again, ever since their inception. Once again, the international community has allowed Hamas to regenerate and has allowed Hamas to recover, thereby forfeiting Palestinian hopes of a prosperous future. Now, why does this keep happening? The main reason why this keeps happening is because the international community seems to be very keen on making deals with entities they do not fully understand. The vast majority of the international community has no idea what Hamas truly is. They see Hamas as a politically and military entity that governs Gaza. And that's as far as the definition goes. The problem is that Hamas is only using that facade to mask what they truly are, to mask the very methodologies that have made them strong, that have made them powerful, and are allowing them to maintain in power. And that is, first and foremost, Hamas is a religious entity, not a political entity, not a military entity, a religious entity, their origins being traced back to the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood, the very entity responsible for radical Islamic expansionism throughout the entire world. Now, once we start to acknowledge that Hamas is a religious entity, it pretty much changes our entire strategy pertaining to how to deal with them. And that brings me to my next point, which is the missing factor in every peace plan brought forth by the United Nations, the international community, the United States, it doesn't matter. Even Trump's recent Gaza peace plan does not acknowledge what it needs to acknowledge in order to be efficient. First and foremost, Hamas is a religious entity. Hamas became powerful by the utilization of its Dawah networks, the religious charity networks, that have allowed their influence to spread, first and foremost throughout mosques, then later to social and educational institutions, and then later to infrastructure, buildings, real estate, to the point they achieved a complete monopoly on Gaza's infrastructure, economy, culture, military and political frameworks. So if we want to address Hamas, if we want to neutralize Hamas, mere political and military action is not enough. We must cut them at their roots. We must address the religious networks. I myself have been fortunate to have been a part of some of the most efficient anti-radicalization efforts in my country, the Netherlands, in around the time ISIS was emerging within Syria and Iraq and was recruiting large numbers within Europe. One of the reasons, in my opinion, the key reason why these efforts were so effective was because we swayed the mosques to our side. And throughout the mosque, we were able to spread this counter message to the one that ISIS was dispersing and permeating, spreading and disseminating throughout these religious networks and institutions. And the same thing must occur within the Palestinian territories. And the Palestinian Authority must stand up here. They must initiate these campaigns. Get the mosques on your side. You must get the mosques on your side in order to counter the religious message and religious foothold that Hamas enjoys and permeates. And as long as current or future peace plans do not address this and do not incorporate these tactics and strategies and methodologies within their frameworks, Hamas will be allowed to re-emerge again and again and again and again, and they will in the near-term future as well. If this peace plan that is currently being put in place, if that peace plan does not incorporate a strategy that addresses radicalization within the Palestinian territories, that will initiate counter-campaigns, religious counter-campaigns, educational counter-campaigns, social counter-campaigns, comprising of sports, activities, education, awareness, then this peace plan will falter as well. When we're looking to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian crisis, we cannot settle for a mere band-aid upon a gaping wound. And that is something that the international community has done for far too long. Because we want to forget. We want to be comforted. We want the big boogeyman to go away, the big uncomfortable events that transpire within that part of the world. We don't want to be confronted with it. Oh, there's a peace plan. Oh, there's a ceasefire. Good. We can sleep at last. But this conflict is not about our peace of mind. And if we are truly sympathetic with the Palestinian cause, or the prospect of peace within the Middle East in general, we must think better, we must be better, we must address the most uncomfortable of truths. And that is something that the international community, till this very day, has failed to do. Therefore, all their efforts will ultimately prove to be in vain. I think in the future I will upload a strategic breakdown where I will more intricately discuss some of these anti-radicalization efforts and strategies and how to best incorporate them within current or future peace plans pertaining to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This is something that is very dear to my heart. I've been following the Israeli-Palestinian conflict closely for a very long time now. The bulk of my study in terms of anti- and counterterrorism has been the terrorist organization Hamas. So obviously I've got quite a good look at them over the years, and I've been able to decipher and unravel some of the most cunning and let's say least popular strategies and tactics. But what has baffled me the most is just how blind the international community is to what Hamas truly is, to what it truly constitutes, to its origins, to its heritage, and thereby its ultimate end goal. Hamas is not a benefactor of the Palestinian people. Hamas's objectives do not end with a Palestinian state. Hamas merely seeks to erect a Palestinian state as a means to an end to forward and further their ultimate goals, which are the very same goals of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood, of the Ayatollahs in Iran, and of any radical Islamic entity seeking to oppose the Western world. This is something the international community must acknowledge if they wish to effectively address this threat. This is all I want to share with you today. I wanted to keep this video short and sweet. I still aim to upload more on a more strict schedule, something that is definitely going to occur next year. I'm wrapping up the projects I'm currently engaged in so I can free up more time to work on this channel and to professionalize it properly. So please bear with me. Once again, I thank you very much, all of you, for taking the time to listening to my videos, to my analyses, breakdowns and strategies. It means a lot to me, and I hope you will be there in the future as I expand this channel going forward. Once again, thank you very much. Please leave a like beneath this video, comment if you have anything to share, and subscribe to my channel to stay updated. I thank you very much for your time and have a blessed day. Thank you.